Hello all and welcome back to the Roster of Dreams. I know it has been October since the last episode, but I needed a break to focus on other projects that I had in the works. So to get this year started, I'm going to take a concept that nobody really thought of, but I think people will find interesting. So before I wrote this script, I saw where Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 3 supposedly leaked with its roster, and I'm not sure if they are really going to continue the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl series, but it did give me an idea. What if Nickelodeon followed the same formula as the Smash series? Meaning, what if they started making these games in 1999, then continued to do the everyone is here shtick, like they did in Ultimate. That's what I will be doing here, but before I do so, I'll go over some roles now. First of all, I will not be doing one roster. I will be doing 5 different rosters for each game. Secondly, when I do these rosters, I will be taking into consideration what year these games came out and what Nickelodeon characters were popular around that time. So take into consideration, the original Smash came out in 1999, so I will be picking Nickelodeon characters from 1999 and before, so don't be expecting characters like Zim, Timmy Turner, Carl Weezer in the first game. Also, this excludes the Ninja Turtles as they weren't bought out by Nickelodeon until 2009. Finally, I will not be worried about doing guest characters or Echo Fighters. Now that I got the rules out of the way, let's start going over the rosters, starting with the original Nickelodeon Smash. SpongeBob SquarePants. So we start off with the face of the company, SpongeBob SquarePants. I know some people say that we shouldn't have SpongeBob in the first game, seeing that SpongeBob first aired in 1999, and they wouldn't have enough source material for the character. But come on, SpongeBob is their flagship series. They even dethroned Rugrats when it came to viewership. He is to Nickelodeon what Mario is to Nintendo. Also, his moveset can be updated in future games. For his attacks, I want to see some attacks using his spatula, his moveset his karate moves. Also with future games, there's more we can pull off. Tommy Pickles. Now we get into the franchise that was Nickelodeon's flagship series until SpongeBob came along. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Game Mule, the company that published the two Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl games, said they didn't want any of the main characters from Rugrats in the game because they didn't want the babies being beaten up by SpongeBob or Leonardo. However, come on, we need the faces of the series. Yeah, we just need more representation than just Reptar. There are more recognizable characters than him. As for how he could play, he could use like a toy sword to fight his opponents. Ren and Stimpy. Now this is the first of many duo characters like the Ice Climbers in Smash. Seeing that we are still in 1999, we just still need to get our 90s representation out of the way. We have to include them because the Ren and Stimpy show is the first of 3 shows that were Nickelodeon's first cartoons, alongside Rugrats and Doug. Also, just as a side note, Doug is not in this roster because I think Doug became a Disney show by 1999. But anyway, we got to get Ren and Stimpy in the game. Rocco Rama. Still gotta get the 90s representation out of the way, so let's get Rocco from Rocco's Modern Life in this hypothetical game. Some of his The attack could even involve his dog, Spunky. Ickis. Still got some 90s representation to get out of the way, so let's get some All Real Monsters representation out of the way with Ickis. His attacks would be scare focused. Arnold Shortman. Okay, I know what you guys are thinking. Arnold is a pacifist, which is why game you'll use characters like Helga, Gerald, or Gertie. But come on now, are you seriously gonna have those characters have the spotlight over Arnold, who is the main character? Yeah, I'm not doing that. Also, we still got to get our 90s representation out of the way. Norbert and Daggett. I told you we wouldn't be done with duo characters. Now we still got to get our 90s representation out of the way, so let's do Norbert and Daggett from the Angry Beavers. Cat Dog. Not a duo character, but we still have to get that particular 90s representation out of the way. And let's do it with Cat Dog. Patrick Star. Seeing that SpongeBob is the Nickelodeon equivalent to Super Mario, of course SpongeBob would have more characters, so why don't we include Patrick? Patrick can be the Luigi of this game. Eliza Thornberry. Still getting the 90s representation out of the way. Let's get Eliza from the Wild Thornberries. I know what you were thinking, Nigel is more popular than Eliza because of the memes. But I'm going with Eliza because she's the main protagonist, but don't worry, I still have plans for Nigel Thornberry. Auto Rocket. After this, there's one last 90s show to get out of the way, but I promised after that, which we will get to in just a second. So the second to last 90s show is Rocket Power, so let's get Auto Rocket in this hypothetical game. Angelica Pickles. So Rugrats was still a popular franchise when SpongeBob came along, so I think it would be alright to include another Rugrats character. So I went with Angelica. There you have it. The first roster for the first Nickelodeon Smash game. Going in alphabetical order, we have Angelica Pickles, Arnold Shortman, Cat Dog, Eliza Thornberry, Ickis, Norbert and Daggett, Auto Rocket, Patrick Star, Ren and Stimpy, Rocco Rama, SpongeBob SquarePants, and Tommy Pickles. We're off to a great start, but I think we can do better in the next game. So Smash Melee had 14 new characters. So let's get that out of the way, starting off with characters from returning franchises. Sandy Cheeks. Like I said earlier with Patrick, SpongeBob is Nickelodeon's Mario, so it would make sense why SpongeBob has more than 2 representatives. So let's add Sandy Cheeks. Besides, she can be like the Princess Peach to this game. Plankton. Of course, we have to get some villain representation out of the way. We have to get Plankton in this game. I know what you guys are thinking. Plankton is small, so how can he stand toe-to-toe with SpongeBob or Rocco? Well, in the show, he has used mechs that are taller than him, and I'll admit that I'm stealing this idea from one of the Nickelodeon All-Star games. But he can pilot a similar looking mech to fight his opponents. Squidward Tentacles. Last SpongeBob representative for now. We have to get Squidward in this game. He could have some attacks involving his clarinet, and one of his alternate skins in a later game could be Handsome Squidward. Chucky Finister. So after this one, there are 2 more Rugrats characters to get through, so we got to have Chucky Finister in this game. Lou Pickles. I know I'm just pulling random characters out of the hat, but later on he will most likely be a meme-worthy pick, like how they had Hugh Neutron. Reptar. I know I went on a tangent earlier about how there are more Rugrats characters aside from Reptar, but come on, it's Reptar. Powdered Toast Man. So this is the last Ren and Stimpy character on this list, so here's the Powdered Toast Man. Crumb. We also have another Real Monsters character after this one, but I wanted to complete the main trio, which means I kind of spoiled the next character, so let's get to her right now. Obelina. Okay, this is the last Real Monsters character, and I wanted to include her and Crumb to complete the main trio. Helga Pataki. Honestly, the same goes with the last 2 All Real Monsters characters. We have 2 more Hey Arnold characters remaining. I know I went on a tangent earlier on how they went with her, Gerald, and Gertie over Arnold because they believe Arnold is a pacifist. But I still think a little more representation for that show wouldn't be bad. Zim. So now we move on to characters from all new franchise, starting off with Invader Zim. Some of his attacks could involve Grr. Grr! Timmy Turner. Now we get to some representation from the Fairly Odd Parents. This series was second to SpongeBob at one point in time, so it makes sense for Timmy Turner to be in this hypothetical game. Cosmo. Last Fairly Odd Parents representative for now. We got to add Cosmo in here. I know what you guys are thinking. Where's Wanda? We will get to her later. Trust me. Ginger Feltley. So the last 90s show that hadn't been represented yet is As Told by Ginger, so let's include Ginger Feltley. So there you have it. There's the roster for the Nickelodeon Smash Melee. In alphabetical order, we have new characters like Chucky Finister, Cosmo, Ginger Feltley, Helga Pataki, Crumb, Lou Pickle, Obelina, Plankton, Powdered Toast Man, Reptar, Sandy Cheeks, Squidward Tentacle, Timmy Turner, and Zim. Pretty great roster, but I think we can still do better with the next game. So Nickelodeon Smash Brawl will have 18 characters, 18 new characters. So let's get on with it. Mr. Krabs. So I already have SpongeBob, Patrick, Sandy, Squidward, and Plankton, so we might as well add Mr. Krabs to the list. So we used up all our main characters, so let's add some side characters. Mermaid Man. So I need more SpongeBob characters, and we used all the main characters. So let's do some side characters. However, you can't have Mermaid Man without his sidekick. Barnacle Boy. Of course I had to put Barnacle Boy in here because you can't have Mermaid Man without Barnacle Boy. Heifer Wolf. So Rocco might be feeling a little lonely in these games, so let's include his friend Heifer. Nigel Thornberry. Yes, I know I went on a tangent earlier why I chose Eliza over Nigel, but I'm going to include him now because later in the years to come, Nigel will become a meme. Also, he's not not the only new Wild Thornberrys character I'm including. Donnie Thornberry. I told y'all we wouldn't be done with the Wild Thornberrys. And I have a feeling if this game were to happen, then Donnie Thornberry would be a wild character to play as. Gerald Johansson. So this is the last Hey Arnold representative. Enough said. Jorgen von Strangle. Of course I had to get more Fairly Odd Parents representation, so I'm adding Jorgen von Strangle along with Mr. Crocker. So this is the last Fairly Odd Parents representative for now, and I promise I will get to Wanda eventually, but just let me have this one. Anyway, we also needed more villain representation, so he was perfect. Grr. I know I said Zim would have a move in his moveset that would involve Grr, but I do have a nice workaround for this. In Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Tron Bonne from the Mega Man Legends series would have a Servbot in her moveset, and you could also play as a Servbot, so we can do the same with Zim. Dib Membrane. So I'm just getting my Invader Zim representation out of the way. Dib could use all of his inventions on the battlefield to fight Zim and the other characters. Gaz Membrane. So after Gaz, I have one last Invader Zim character, but Gaz could have half of Dib's moveset. Professor Membrane. Okay, if this were to exist, this game would come out in 2008. But I am including him in this game because of all the moves he does in Enter the Florpus, which could be implemented into later games. And also I'm just adding him for the fact because Roger Bumpus, who voices him, also voices Squidward. Snap. I don't know a whole lot about this character because I haven't seen Shock Zone as of writing that script or filming this video. I just wanted to include him because his show does have its fans. Jimmy Neutron. Now this will be one of the most interesting characters because he could fight with all sorts of inventions. Also, it's about time we had Jimmy Neutron in these games. Jenny Wakeman. So this is another no-brainer, but we have to have Jenny Wakeman from My Life as a Teenage Robot. Danny Phantom. This is another no-brainer because we need Danny Phantom. Aang. So Avatar is one of Nickelodeon's biggest shows, and I had to include an Avatar character at one point in this video, so let's go with the main protagonist being Aang. So there you have it, all the new characters for Nickelodeon Smash Brawl. In alphabetical order, the new characters are Aang, Barnacle Boy, Danny Phantom, Dib Membrane, Donnie Thornberry, Gaz Membrane, Gerald Johansson, Grr, Heifer Wolf, Jenny Wakeman, Jimmy Neutron, Jorgen von Strangle, Mermaid Man, Mr. Crocker, Mr. Krabs, Nigel Thornberry, Professor Membrane, and Snap. Now that's still a good roster, however I think we can do better in the next game, Nickelodeon Smash 4. That's when they decided to number the games, which wouldn't last. Anyways, let's get to the roster of 21 new characters. Wanda. I told you we would get to Wanda. Anyways, she can share a moveset with Cosmo. Tack. Now there's a deep cut Invader Zim character. I'll admit there's some bias here because Invader Zim is probably my favorite Nickelodeon cartoon. Also, some of her moves can be borrowed from Zim. Also, she could use one of those SIR robots instead of Gur. Sheen Estevez. I have to include one of Jimmy Neutron's best friends, Sheen. He can have some moves where he pulls out some Ultra Lord costume pieces and he can fight people with it. So this is the point where I would go on to the next character, but before I wrote this script, I had found out about the tragic passing of Jeffrey Garcia. He passed away on December 10th at the age of 50 from complications of a collapsed lung caused by pneumonia. I hope Sheen being included on the list honors him. Rest in peace, Jeffrey Garcia. Carl Weezer. If you are going to have Sheen, then you also must have Carl Weezer. Himcules. Now here's a weird character I bet you guys weren't expecting. Himcules from My Life as a Teenage Robot. I'm mainly including him because he is voiced by Bruce Campbell, who also played Ash Williams in the Evil Dead movies. Ember McLean. We need some more Danny Phantom representation, so let's include Ember McLean as well as Vlad Plasmius. I also needed the big bad of Danny Phantom. Zuko. Not only did we need more villains in this game, we also needed to have more Avatar representation because Avatar is one of Nickelodeon's biggest shows. Mr. Blick. I'll admit that I hardly remember this show, Cat Scratch, but I wanted to include this character so I can have some deep cut 2000s Nickelodeon characters. Tuesday X. This is somewhat the same with Cat Scratch, except I have absolutely no memories with this show. But I still wanted to include Tuesday X just so I can include some deep cut Nick 2000s characters. El Tigre. Like with Cat Scratch, I vaguely remember this show, but I still wanted to include him to include some deep cut 2000s characters. Tack. Now this is a deep cut. We have to represent Nickelodeon's older game division by adding Tack from Tack and the Power of Juju. Otis. This isn't a deep cut character, but a character that can be popular in meme culture later down the line. Betsy Higginbottom. Like with Cat Scratch and El Tigre, I hardly remembered the Mighty Bee. I just wanted to include some deep cuts, especially from the 2000s era. Fanboy and Chum Chum. Yet another show that I vaguely remember, like with Cat Scratch, El Tigre, and the Mighty Bee. I just wanted to include some deep cut characters from a 2000s show. Also, this is the 4th to last duo character. Dudley Puppy. Yet another show that I vaguely remember, like with Cat Scratch, LT Gray, and Mighty B, and with Fanboy and Chum Chum. I just wanted to include some deep cut characters from a 2000s Nickelodeon show. Korra. I will probably have someone say I should count this as an Avatar character, but I'm gonna count this as a new franchise, like how, characters like Donkey Kong, Wario, and Yoshi spun off from the Mario franchise, but they represent their own franchises like Donkey Kong Country, WarioWare, and the Yoshi series. Leonardo. I know I said I wouldn't be including the Ninja Turtles in the earlier games, but with Nickelodeon buying the Ninja Turtles and the fact that they had a show premiere on the network in 2012, it's safe to put them here. While we are here, we just can't stop at one character. We gotta have Raphael. We just can't stop at 2. We gotta have another. Donatello. I feel like we can squeeze one more TMNT rep. Michelangelo. That's right, we gotta have all 4 turtles in this game. There you have it. The new characters for Nickelodeon Smash 4. In alphabetical order, we have Bessie Higginbottom, Carl Weezer, Donatello, Dudley Puppy, LT Gray, Ember McLean, Fanboy and Chum Chum, Hercules, Korra, Leonardo, Michelangelo, Mr. Blick, Otis, Raphael, Sheen Estevez, Tak from Invader Zim, Tak from the Power of Juju, Tuesday X, Vlad Plasmius, Wanda, and Zuko. That's a good looking roster, however I do think we can surpass it with the final entry with Nickelodeon Smash Ultimate, which brings back every character who has made an appearance up to that point. It also has 24 new characters, so let's finish this with the final batch of new characters. Doodle Bob. One last SpongeBob character, and it's more of a joke character / meme-worthy character. That is Doodle Bob. He's also a villain. Also, he's probably my favorite of all the SpongeBob memes. Toph. We need more Avatar characters to please the Avatar fans, so of course I had to include Toph. Katara. We have 2 more Avatar characters after Katara, but we have to include her because she is one of the main characters. Azula. One last character after her, I promise. Also, we needed more villains, especially after Zuko. Sokka. Okay, last Avatar character, I promise. Waffle. Like I said, I vaguely remember Cat Scratch, but I wanted to add the other 2 main characters. Gordon. Same goes for Gordon. Kitty Catswell. I wanted to add her because Kitty Catswell is a popular character among Nickelodeon characters. April O'Neil. Now we can get to more TMNT representation, so let's just go ahead and get some side heroes out of the way with April. Shredder. We need some TMNT villains, and we can't have any TMNT villains without having the Turtles' arch nemesis being the Shredder. Casey Jones. So here's the last TMNT side hero. Now we have one last TMNT villain for you. Casey Jones. So here's the last TMNT side hero. Now we have one last TMNT villain for you. Krang. Of course you can't have Shredder without Krang. Robot and Monster. I vaguely remember this show, but I wanted some representation of Nickelodeon from the 2010s, so I don't seem like I have a 2000s bias. Also, just gonna let you know, I hadn't seen a lot of the 2010 shows outside of maybe the 2012 Ninja Turtles. So my knowledge is gonna be I don't really have a lot of knowledge there. Sanjay and Craig. Like with Robot and Monster, I vaguely remember this show, but I wanted some representation of Nickelodeon from the 2010s, so I don't have that said 2000s bias. Sway Sway and Badooz. I haven't seen Breadwinners, but I wanted some representation of Nickelodeon from the 2010s. Harvey. Like with Breadwinners, I haven't seen Harvey Beaks, but I wanted some representation from that show just so I can please the 2010s Nickelodeon fandom. And people love this show, so I will add 2 more characters from this series. Foo. Also from Harvey Beaks, we have Foo. And that's all the representation of Harvey Beaks. Pig. Like with Breadwinners and Harvey Beaks, I haven't seen Pig, Goat, Banana, Cricket. Apparently no one likes the show, but I wanted some representation from 2000s, 2010s Nickelodeon, so I don't seem like I have that 2000s bias. Also, Pig will be the default skin, but you can switch between Goat, Banana, and Cricket like with the Koopalings in Smash. Lincoln Loud. Now this is the show that airs second to SpongeBob nowadays. I'll admit that I've only seen maybe like a few episodes, but I will include him to make the Loud House fans happy. Bunsen and Beast. Like with Breadwinners, Harvey Beaks, and Pig, Goat, Banana, Cricket, I haven't seen Bunsen as a Beast. The only thing I know about this show is that it is the last show Butch Hartman created before leaving Nickelodeon. But I wanted some representation of Nickelodeon from 2010s, so I don't have that 2000s bias. This is also the last duo character. Hey y'all, I know this is a verbal video right now that I'm taking, but editor's note, so for that Bunsen and Beast thing, just gonna let you know that Bunsen, that Mikey is the name of the actual human character, and Beast is the name. I got the Beast's name right, but I got Mikey's name wrong, so I'm just making that little correction, and hopefully you know that for the rest of the video. Anyway, back to whatever this was. Caroline Timbers. Like with Breadwinners, Harvey Beaks, Pig, Goat, Banana, Cricket, and Bunsen is a Beast, I haven't seen Welcome to the Wayne, but I wanted some representation of Nickelodeon from the 2010s, so I don't have that 2000s bias. Pinky Molinky. Like with breadwinners, Harvey Beaks, Pig Goat Banana Cricket, and Bunsen is a beast. And welcome to the Wayne. I haven't seen Pinky Molinky, but I wanted some representation of Nickelodeon from the 2010s, so I don't seem like I have a 2000s bias. There you have it. The new characters for Nickelodeon Smash Ultimate. In alphabetical order, we have April O'Neil, Azula, Bunsen and Beast, Casey Jones, Doodlebob, Foo, Gordon, Harvey, Katara, Kitty Catwill, Crane, Lincoln Loud, Pig, with Goat Banana and Cricket as alternate skins, Pinky Molinky, Robot and Monster, Sanjay and Craig, Caroline Timbers, Shredder, Sokka, Splinter, Sway Sway and Badooz, Toph, and Waffle. As for the full roster in alphabetical order, we have Angelica Pickles, April O'Neil, Arnold Shortman, Azula, Barnacle Boy, Bessie Higginbottom, Bunsen and Beast, Carl Weezer, Casey Jones, Cat Dog, Chucky Finister, Cosmo, Danny Phantom, Dib Membrane, Donatello, Donnie Thornberry, Doodlebob, Ugly Puppy, Liza, LT Gray, Amber McLean, Fanboy and Chum Chum, B, Foo, Gaz Membrane, Gerald Johansson, Ginger Fowley, Kerr, Gordon, Harvey, Effer Wolf, Olga Pataki, Himcules, Ickis, Jenny Wakeman, Jimmy Neutron, Jorgen Von Strangle, Katara, Kitty Catwill, Cora, Krang, Crumb, Leonardo, Lincoln Loud, Lou Pickles, Mermaid Man, Michelangelo, Mr. Blick, Mr. Crocker, Mr. Krabs, Nigel Thornberry, Norbert and Daggett, Oblina, Otis, Auto Rocket, Patrick Star, Pig, with Goat, Banana, and Cricket as an alternate skin, Pinky Molinky, Plankton, Powdered Toast Man, Professor Membrane, Raphael, Ren and Stimpy, Reptar, Robot and Monster, Rocco Rama, Sandy Cheeks, Sanjay and Craig, Caroline Timbers, Sheen Estevez, Shredder, Snap, Sokka, Splinter, SpongeBob SquarePants, Squidward Tentacles, Sway Sway and Badooz, Tack from Invader Zim, Tack from Tack and the Power of Juju, Timmy Turner, Tommy Pickles, Toph, Tuesday X, Vlad Plasmius, Awful, Wanda, Zim, and Zuko. With that out of the way, let me know in the comments what you thought of these rosters, and let me know what characters you would have had. But aside from that, be sure to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified for new videos. Don't forget to check out my Instagram and TikTok. Links will be in the description. My name is Mac. Have a nice day.
I see it, and now it's all within my reach. Possibility. I see it now. It's all